the tape. I wanted to burn it because I didn't know. I just didn't know. I had no experience.
You're looking off like that?
Yeah, I'd be looking off at the monitor. I'd be, the camera's like over here, and I'd be looking off into the monitor, and people saying, "What are you looking at?"
Stand by.
Everybody seems to be talking about heavenly places on the other side. They keep saying I'm finally happy just as soon as I die. But tell you the truth, and I may be wrong. I don't believe I can wait that long, cause one when I needed it, you know I need it now. Da 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 da. Just yesterday somebody came up to me with a holy book, starting out about apocalypses, trying to get me shook. But I couldn't relate it, I'll tell you why. I want to get to heaven before I die. But when I needed it, you know I need it now. I heard about a man who said, anything you want you can have, as long as you need to have what it's worth. I need to get to heaven while I'm on the earth, cause one when I need it, and you know I need it now.
Anytime, unless it's noisy. Yeah, you don't need a flash for this.
So if there's really a place you fill your soul with love and light, I want to find it pretty soon, cause ain't got the right. Be in heaven, and if it's true, I'm gonna give a little bit to you, cause nobody needs it, no you.
I just don't even know, to tell you the truth. Usually we have two cameras, but I don't.
God knows you need it too.
Oh, right. Not this one.
That's the picture that's going in.
I hope it's not. And there you have it. For those of you who are wondering what's going on, we have a treat for you tonight. We've been telling you about a spiritual festival that'll be taking place it's a Spiritual Awareness Yoga ESP festival that'll be taking place in Miami 24th, 25th, and 26th of October. Tonight we're really fortunate to have a person who's been on the show before by the name of Sri John Roger. He's I guess we call him a mystic and a spiritual teacher. And he will be one of the featured speakers at this festival. We'll be talking very much about this festival tonight, as well as getting some information from higher levels from John Roger, and we'll be letting you know what to expect, and we'll be exhorting you to purchase your tickets because the seats are limited, and we know you'll want to get out there to see this festival. So we'll be back with Sri John Roger and some more music later on. We'll be right back after these messages. Stick around. And it's the Healthful Diet Shop.
How much does a commercial on here cost?
On my show, the airtime is, well, it depends. Local people, we charge $50 for 30-second spot, and for like national sponsors, we charge $80 a 30-second spot. For MSIA, we donate it because we love them.
I'm glad. It's a good commercial. Well, it's just still shots, huh?
Yeah, this is just slides.
That's good.
I wish you could hear the MSIA one.
I wished I could too.
Here it goes. Oh. This one we do for Mona's United Way.
Is that 5 seconds?
Yeah, 10 seconds.
MSIA.
Starts out.
Who's the voice?
It should be Rama, but my ego didn't allow it for this one. I'll give you the script and you can have it recorded over for anybody you like. But these are in color. I don't know how he did it, but these are in color and they're beautiful.
This is good if you could put my post office.
Stand by.
There's a section P51 or something. So you
Right,
know
that's what Philip was saying. I mean,
that
Mike
way
was
you know
saying.
where they come.
We're back with Sri John Roger and JR. Thank you once again for coming on the show.
Glad to be here, Laren.
Thank you. Before we get into the heavy stuff, I want to ask you a question about something that happened to me today. I was watching a program on Channel 51, the Dick Vance program, and they had a psychic on there. He's an astrologer psychic, and as a matter of fact, he's going to be at this festival coming up in October. His name is Reverend Martin Newman. And he was doing one of these numbers where people were calling in, he'd talk to them for a few minutes, and he'd start telling them, things like, oh, well, you're going to be taking a trip, and he was really being pretty inaccurate. And I was sitting on the phone because I had gotten a message from him earlier in the day to call him during the show because I had something I needed to discuss. So I'm sitting on the phone, and the phone is ringing and ringing, and I'm hoping that they'll answer the phone. And meanwhile, there are two things that you should know about me in relationship to this story. Number one, I'm from Detroit, and number two, or I came from Detroit, and number two, I'm in the market for a new car, and I've been considering a bunch of cars. So Martin's sitting on the phone here, and all of a sudden he's talking to this guy, and he says, yes, sir, I'm tuned into you now, I believe. Have you been considering buying a new car? The guy says, no. And then he says, are you from Detroit? And he says, no. And he says, well, maybe you're going to get some company from Detroit or something like that. And he was really kind of embarrassed. And I'm sitting here, and I'm fitting this description, and I just wanted to know if you have any information as to what was really occurring. He was obviously getting information from me, but how does that happen?
Well, I'm not a psychic, and I don't function in that particular category, but I've observed many psychics do this particular type of phenomena, and I think one of the great disadvantages that they have to work with is finding out what is in time and space from the moment they're speaking in, because most of them are speaking, if they're accurate, from a right here and now approach. And when they are dealing in these things, like you were already on the scene, so to speak, and your vibration might have been quite a bit stronger than the person that he was talking to, and of course your intensity could be picking up, and maybe you might have had a previous contact with the person.
Yes.
Would over-influence that tremendously. See, a psychic works better if they've had some contact with the person, so they don't have to fish them out of a whole group. They'll know what that vibration is, and they can move to it rapidly. But that's the fallacy of the psychic approach, is that it's supposed to be reflecting back here into the physical world, but it's a reflection. And reflections aren't direct perceptions, so you have to take into consideration the reflection angle that they're coming on. You can't say the guy was wrong in a great big approach, but you could say wrong with that particular person.
Right.
Of course, did you tell him when you came on the line that
They never got me on the line.
Oh.
I wish I could have. It would have really, probably
saved
helped
him,
this thing. Yeah. Okay. You said you're not a psychic. Well, one of the questions that I want to ask you is what you are, but I think I'm going to preface that with there are a lot of vocabulary terms going around for functions that people
what
are
are
fulfilling.
teachers, gurus, and masters?
No, I had it gurus, masters, and teachers.
Oh. It's hard to read upside down.
I know.
Okay. Well, supposedly there should be no difference, but I mean, a guru should be able to teach, and that teacher should be a master at what they're teaching, and a master should be the guru. So it's like a circle here. But I'm not too sure in the present day scheme of things that these all represent the same thing, because there are teachers who are teaching various aspects of some particular thing, like some may be teaching an aspect of astrology, and some may be teaching an aspect of numerology, and call themselves a teacher. Then their particular people that the students run around with may refer to that person as my guru. And the guru may refer to himself as a master. And a lot of these are self-proclaimed. Not that that means they're bad. They may be very accurate because the person should know what they are that they're proclaiming to be. But to me, that one who is the master has overcome. And And that part that is the residue of having overcome is the guru, and should be then the teacher. That is the teacher, or we would say the guru would be that's left, or God, or the pure spiritual form.
How do you define yourself? How do you define yourself, and how do people define you? Maybe that's two separate questions.
Oh, I define myself as a babe in the woods.
You said that the other night, as I recall.
And classically in a line of what we call the mystical traveler, which is not a guru, nor a teacher, nor a master form, but functions in all of those.
Mm-hmm.
It is, for the most part, a commutator. It's a consciousness that steps energy down to this level so the energy can be utilized, and it's a direct line into spirit, bypassing the psychic realms. So that it's very difficult to state what that is, because you can't measure it according to psychic or scientific or material phenomena, because it's only with the spirit you see the spirit. So somebody who's functioning in the psychic realm would miss what we're doing, but those who are functioning in the spirit realm would see what I'm doing and say, oh yes.
Right.
Would recognize it as, oh yes, that's what's going on. A spiritual person could see into the psychic realm easy and say, oh, that's psychic level 2, 3, 4, something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And often you find these gurus, masters, and teachers will function in what we call the negative realms, or the ascended realms, where the ascended masters work from.
Mm-hmm.
And the travelers work out of pure spirit, or out of the soul realm, through the levels.
Are there other people working through those levels?
There's one other one on the planet who's in India. There are quite a few that claim to be, but all you can do is test them and see, try them out to see what they can do. And each person then has to decide that individually, because one person may be, spiritually tuned to what the person's talking about and say, I see it, but we know that doesn't make it so, because we are aware of mass hallucination, mass hypnosis. And so it's very true that a psychic individual dealing in psychism, or a lot of mental vocabulary, could beguile people, and through esoteric vocabulary, hype people up, mm-hmm. and they would fall for it. Well, I've seen it happen, and this is one thing we discourage people just like doing a worship number. We say, no, don't be a fool, neither to believe nor disbelieve, but check it out. Keep checking all the time. And even when you think that maybe the traveler here is present, keep checking, because this level is clear full of illusion. It's just jammed full.
Let me mention at this point that, as we've been saying, John Roger will be one of the feature speakers at the upcoming ESP Awareness Yoga Festival, and it is important for you to know that John Roger will be representing one facet of the festival, being spiritual awareness. The other facets will be psychism, pyramids. You'll have many opportunities to talk with professional psychics, many things, and we'll go into those in a while too. I'd like to mention that we have open phone lines tonight. We will get to as many questions as possible, and your phone numbers, actually our phone numbers, in Broward County, 963-1402, in Dade, 620-5701. These are the phone numbers into the studio to ask questions of John Roger. Later on, we'll be showing you phone numbers to call to get your tickets to this festival. Save yourself about $8, and we'll be going into that in a while. Why are there apparently so many teachers, gurus, masters, whether self-proclaimed or not, appearing right now on the planet, and particularly in the West?
Yeah, there are a lot of things to look at here with this. One is that as many different levels of consciousness as you have groups of people, you'll find somebody who will rise out of the group and become the leader, the guru. Mm-hmm. And often they are only because the group supports them. Then there are those that the Spirit is actually pouring out through them into the group, and they support the group. And there is a big difference in this type of action here. Mm-hmm. And then there are those that are a mutual type of admiration society, where everyone recognizes the potential of everyone else, which we would define more in the movement of spiritual inner awareness. That it's like one person may say, well, this I do, but you too can do that. Mm-hmm. It is there inside of you. Where in a lot of the other groups, they say, only I can do this because only I have this and nobody else has that. And if you don't do it this way, then tough for you. And we say, well, that's a very interesting approach. Neither good nor bad, because there's a darn good chance that group of people need that particular type of
Experience.
discipline. Yeah.
What is you are the founder or the spiritual director of the movement of spiritual inner awareness.
As a vocabulary term.
Okay, all right. It's just in terms of so we can pigeonhole you a
Right.
little bit to
Okay.
deal with you tonight. What is your function within that framework?
Well, you could say chief.
Okay. How about your spiritual function?
The spiritual function is to relate spiritually with people through this consciousness we call the mystical traveler. We could call it the light traveler, the spiritual traveler. We could call it truth, call it awareness. The term we don't want to get hung up on, because then everybody starts pitting you against somebody else who has a name. And it is to awaken this level of consciousness in people that is the essence of God, that we call the spirit. So that when this becomes recognizable in the person, then they consciously direct into that until they find the center. And in that center is what they refer to as the kingdom of heaven or paradise. But once they find that center, they still have to deal with the body and its restrictions. The traveler assists them to find it and then assists them from the body into the realms of spirit by way of what we call the soul. And the soul then transcends all the realms of negativity into a pure consciousness. And this awakens the person more and more to the divine consciousness of God, the omnipresence of God. It brings a greater state physically of health, wealth, and happiness. Not meaning dollars and wealth, but the wealth of happiness with what you have and how to utilize it so that you're not taking more from the environment to you than you utilize, because if you don't, then it's called pollution. So we become extremely conservative of energy in all forms. And the wasting of energy we'd call the negative path or the negative approach. And the positive utilization of energy to eliminate waste we call the positive approach.
What I've noticed that, like, I will listen to different people from different groups on radio programs and things like that, representing their groups, and many of them sound very similar. They sound very beautiful. But in their similarity, one person will be attracted to one group, and another person will be attracted to another group. And, well, what attracts an individual to a specific group?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
No.
Well, so much for that.
I can give you a guess.
Okay.
That's the same thing that attracts people to different motion pictures.
It's just preference.
Just a preference level. Maybe a feeling of more comfort with that type of personality that's working. Maybe a feeling that most of these are married people with families, or these are all bachelors, or these are all singles, or these are all this, or these are all that, or here's the professionals, and here are the lower class. And,
I see.
you know, these are into suffering, and these are into joy, and each person sorts out the group according to their individual level of perception and receptivity to what's going on in the group. Often, these people aren't interested in truth.
Yes.
They're interested in comfort of somebody telling them what they want to hear.
Yeah.
And in that, then, sometimes they get waylaid or delayed, where the teacher should talk in terms of truth and then let that person move to the truth that they're testing out in themselves. And often, it'll make them uncomfortable to hear truth. It's like, wow, but the truth, once you're in it, it sets you free. And there are, of course, relative levels in this thing that is truth. There is only truth. And then there may be relative levels in that.
Why does everyone think, that I've heard express, not everyone, why do many people that are in these different groups feel that their group is the best? I mean, I can understand feeling like you want to feel that my group is the best, but to the exclusion of the other groups. When everybody's preaching that all is one in love and brotherhood.
I've heard that too. In fact, I've read material of various groups who said, like, you know, there are many ways to God, and this is one of the ways. And you get in there and they say, no, this is not one of the ways, this is the way. And I said, goodbye, because I don't think God's dummy enough, you know, to exclude it into a certain area. In fact, one of the criteria I tell people, if you hear me say, this is the only way, get up and run, because obviously I'm trapping you for some reason. And even if I don't know what it is, you better get running to save yourself. This is one of the ways. I think the way is the way that works, and that we all have to move from that doesn't work, either individually or collectively, to that works. And that may take a heck of a lot of wit, because we have to let go of the yay, our team number, you know, and our so-called fidelity to an individual personality, and be loyal to our soul. And when we're loyal to that, and we recognize that, then we cannot be false to anyone else. And we will declare, you know, the rightfulness of our position and what we don't know from that position. But we always say, now, but you must decide that. Whether this be true, you must decide, you must check it. And the Bible says you must test the spirit. And I don't care if a person says they're guru, master, or big kahuna, test them. That doesn't mean go and lay a trap for them. But it's like, listen to what they say and work the information and see if that will work. And if it won't, that doesn't work for you. It isn't necessarily wrong or false doctrine. It just doesn't work for you, because out of the Bible, many things don't work for people. And you can't declare all the Bible as being false doctrine. You just say, well, when Lot went to the cave and had sexual relations with his daughter, that's incest. You know, that just doesn't work for a lot of people, but you can't declare the whole Bible wrong from that approach.
I want to take a real brief break here and talk a little bit about this festival that's coming up. The Round Table of Light Centers, and here's the information on your screen that'll fill you in about it. I'm going to talk to you about it. I'm going to tell you what's going to be going on since you're a speaker.
I'd like to know.
Well, I think you should know. And they're not even going to charge you the minimal price of advance tickets of $8. I mean, of $12, which is a savings of $8. It's $10 a day, but if people will send in their money in advance by calling one of the numbers on their screen right now, they can buy their tickets for $12 for both days, which is $6 a day, a huge savings. They will have an opportunity to do such things as test their ESP potential. They will have an opportunity to meet with professional psychics and parapsychologists and scientists, as well as being able to see and come in contact with many of the spiritual groups that are in town, which is really nice. The Round Table of Light Centers is the local chapter of the International Cooperation Council. Do you know anything about that?
Sure.
What's your experience with that? Or
what Movement of Spiritual Awareness is a member of the ICC. And from my level of participation with them, I think they're working to do a good thing.
What is it that they're working on? I'm just curious what your understanding of it is.
To bring everybody into a unified consciousness with a diversity of approach.
Right. That sounds about like what it is, what I've heard. You're going to be the wrap-up speaker, and you will be speaking on Sunday night at about 8:15.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
And you also said that you would lead a meditation at the end of that, a brief meditation.
I said that?
You said that on the phone.
Then I'll do that.
Then he'll probably do it. But some of the other speakers will be Robert Monroe, and I'm going to read this blurb here because David Heck did such a nice job of writing it. Robert Monroe has been visiting second state worlds for 17 years. His second state worlds I assume to be astral levels of existence. His institute and laboratory at Whistlefield Farm in Virginia intensively researches parapsychology and out-of-body phenomena. Author of the book Journeys Out of the Body, Mr. Monroe will discuss taming the wild talent, and he will be speaking on Friday night. And if you purchase your tickets now, I'm not trying to sell you a ticket, you understand, but if
I would buy it if I could be in town to hear all this.
Okay. You heard it right from the, at any rate. When you buy your tickets for Saturday and Sunday, Friday night comes on free.
Well, that's bargain then.
That's a bargain. That's called a good deal. Other people are going to be Anthony J. Fisichella, Swami Satchidananda, Rabbi Joseph Gelberman. They will be on different nights and mornings, and we'll go into more of that later. I just wanted to say this now, and we'll talk more about this in the second half hour. Meanwhile, I have a question here. You mentioned earlier, John Roger, that there was one other person who is an Indian working on a similar level to what the mystical traveler consciousness is working through. Somebody called in and wanted to know what is the difference between the Indian you mentioned and who is it? Do you care to give that information?
No, I won't say who that is, but I can tell you the difference in that they function through a line of energy that comes out of the Indian philosophy, and we function out of a line of energy that is the Western philosophy. And the approach is personality-wise, traditionally they're different, but the ultimate result is into soul consciousness.
Is there any reason why one is in the West and one is in the East?
Yeah, you can't go to the East all the time to get everything.
Well, that's nice. Why don't they
And-
send them both here?
Well, because then you'd have mass migration this way.
Oh. And the Earth would sink.
Hopefully not,
Oh.
but might go a little bit out of orbit.
Okay.
That'd be really heavy to have them all in one place.
Yes, that's true, isn't it?
Yes.
Since you mentioned it, I had a question down here that I thought of earlier. What can you comment from a spiritual consciousness on the state of the Earth's condition at this point in time? I don't mean physical
Well,
condition, but
Spiritually, there's more energy being poured out of a pure nature on the planet now than there has been in the last 2,000 years. And this is why we're awakening, of course. We're transiting into the Aquarian Age, as it's been called, or the Golden Age, or the New Age. And the Piscean Age, which was an age of individual awareness, is now being changed to like group consciousness awareness. And in that, though, the individual must also come aware.
what does that mean, individual awareness? I'm not really sure that I'm
Individual
clear.
awareness would be the awareness that I am self-realized and you have that individual awareness, and collectively we both know that with each other.
Yeah.
So therefore we would treat each other with the reverence due that level of consciousness, which means no one would rip anyone off. It could be self-knowledgeable. If you try to do it, I would say, don't do that, that will hurt you. And if I try to do it, you'd say, well, now don't do that, that will hurt you. And we would both know that we'd be in a mutual state of agreement. Or we could call it cooperation or protection. But I doubt if anybody would try that, knowing the other person is aware, and a person who is aware wouldn't do that because you're only hurting some form of you in the other person. That awareness that is true. It just would not take place.
Okay.
But if we weren't in that state, many people will masquerade it. And they'll take advantage, but then why not? They're masquerading anyway. That's why you have to be careful.
I will. I will.
Good.
Yes. Thank you.
Check it out.
Right. I think I hear you say that more than just about anything else. Check it out. We're in a cycle. All right, we talk about the Aquarian Age, and I understand that the energy is unique in that it hasn't occurred for the last 2,000 years, and then there's also an overcycle of something like 26,000
Sure.
years. But, well, what does that mean in terms of who's on the planet? I mean, is this a unique opportunity, a unique time?
Well, to me, any time on the planet is unique. But there seems to be more of an openness towards spiritual things. And by that, I don't necessarily mean the occult things or the metaphysical things, because there has always been an interest in that. It's often been referred to as black magic.
Why does it bloom, though, in conjunction with the spiritual energy?
Whenever there is great light coming on the planet, great spiritual energy, it goes into the negativity and throws it up so that it can be looked at to be seen for what it is. And so whenever we have truth stand, we also have a lie stand right with it. And that is for those who are the spiritual aware people. Will show you how to discern the difference. We must always check that, because there is just an illusion, a glamour that is inherent with the planet. And usually that's my trip's better than yours, or my guru's better than your guru.
Right. I don't know if you can even answer this question, but you've said it a lot of times. Check it.
Yeah.
What or do you have to deal with a specific to say, well, you check that by doing this, or how do you check a master or a teacher?
How do you check a master or teacher?
Yeah.
I just look at them.
You just look at it.
Yeah.
What do you look at?
I look at their spiritual evolutionary form to see what the frequency they're vibrating at. 99, 100, 10,000, 1 million.
Can anybody do that?
Those who can see it can do it.
Do you teach people how to see that?
No,
Is it for all people to see that?
no. I think all people have that potential, but it isn't necessary. It's not necessary to know where I am. It's necessary for you to know where you are, because that should be your level of concern, because if you can or can't peg me, you still got to live with you. So that's the important thing, is where are you evolving to, where are you going, what are your processes? Then that really should be your concern. And if my processes fit in with that brings you to truth, then that's an assist to you, and it's like, thank you. And if it doesn't, that doesn't matter, because you still must keep lifting your own awareness level. So therefore, I don't take Guru's inventories or anybody else's. It's unnecessary. All I have to do is take my own to see that I maintain my stability and hold myself to that I understand as truth. And then I allow everyone else to do the same thing.
We're going to be back in just a minute. If I can get my head together, we're going for a commercial break, and we'll be right back with John Roger and some more information about this festival. Stick around. I'm surprised I can still talk. Let's see what kind of questions we got here. Isn't it true that there are many spiritual travelers living today? Is it true that there is only one true instrument for all these travelers? Do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think a layperson through concentration can hold a seance, or converse with spiritual world? Do you want to go into that? All right. Do you feel that there is a separation between psychic and spiritual?
Yeah.
What is the value of a 30 to 40 day fast? What would the value of a 30 to 40 day fast? What is the difference between the modern... Oh, the answer, we did that one. What must one do to experience magnetic light?
Okay.
Okay, great.
Put that last.
Okay. I'll give them to you about in the order that I got, that I just read them to you. Unless you have a preference. You got enough water? How's he doing, David? Good, thanks. You're doing fine.
It's a neat picture. What's that say? Something resides resides the beloved?
Yeah. Wherein resides the beloved, I believe it. Huh? You? All right.
Wesley, you can control that from back there on your tape by hitting the off and on switch, I think. Go ahead and start.
We have another tape going also.
Stand by.
We are here with Sri John Roger, one of the featured speakers representing the spiritual leaning of the upcoming ESP Yoga and Awareness Festival that will be taking place in the end of October. There will be also psychics, parapsychologists, and New Age scientists appearing at this festival. And now may be a good time to remind you that tickets are now on sale. There is limited seating. There's only 1,000 seats, and the tickets, even though it's a couple weeks away, have begun to move, and they're starting to move fast. So we do recommend that you call one of these numbers. And I'm going to give you a number, and maybe they'll flash it on the screen if they're on their toes, and if not, they did it. Okay, the light is working. The phone number is to call for information on the festival, the upcoming ESP Awareness and Yoga Festival, 264-4118 in Dade, and 920-4623 in Broward. And you can call any time from right now, although we're sure you don't want to miss the show, to later on tonight, this morning, and through tomorrow. There will be people at these phones or answering machines at these phones at all times. Please do give them a call, order your tickets, or just find out what's going on, and we'll be talking about it more in a minute. And I also want to mention to you that, not in relation to the festival, but the Center for Feeling People, a primal community. I talk like you sometimes.
No, I don't talk like that.
Oh, you don't talk like I thought that was the sound current. Never mind.
Different sound.
Different sound. The Center for Feeling People is offering ergonomic meditation on Wednesday nights. They are having a 12-hour marathon, and I believe it's this coming Saturday. For more information about these functions, we urge you to call the Center for Feeling People, and you can get that number out of directory assistance in Fort Lauderdale, the Center for Feeling People, and they'll tell you what's going on there. Our phone numbers here at the studio, so you may ask questions of Sri John Roger, which we're going to get to in just one second. Phone number is 963-1402, That's in Broward, and 620-5701, and Dick Heisling is sitting on the phones just itching to answer your calls. Speaking of itching, I will scratch my nose and ask you, John Roger, isn't it true that there are many spiritual travelers living today? Is it true that there is only one true instrument for all these travelers?
Well, that type of question there is a question to attempt to polarize people in their consciousness. There is one true instrument, and that is the truth. And anyone who fits in that, then, is part of that instrumentation.
Okay. Do you think a lay person, through concentration, can hold a seance or converse with the spiritual world?
Yeah, I think they can, but I don't know why they would want to.
All right.
I mean, there is such a thing as accidents and luck. I would be very careful, because who knows what they're getting when they get something like that. The psychic world has tremendous levels of masquerading entities in it who will come in and just to play games with you, to mislead. This is why we say, yes, it's nice, the psychic world is nice as a tool for a reference that it's there, but why not move straight into the spirit and see directly what it is, without the illusion of somebody's physical body and maybe some form trying to speak through them.
What about people that receive information through guides or other such entities that guide them along, or apparently guide them along their spiritual
Well, if it's
path?
working for them.
Right, I've heard that before too. Do you feel that there is a separation between psychic and spiritual?
Definite separation between psychic and spiritual. Definite.
Can you define that? Can you go a little farther?
Yes, the psychic deals with exclusively these lower worlds of consciousness, the mind, the imaginations, the emotions, the physical body, and the unconscious. Spirit deals primarily with the soul and above, but also encompasses the other, but not as a direct line. That would be, in the lower levels, the magnetic quality, or what we call magnetic light, that you can feel just because you're sitting here. You can feel it in your hands, or you can feel energy coming off the body. That would be magnetic. The spiritual may be much more difficult to feel. It's like reaching out, trying to grab a hold of the air. It's very difficult, very subtle.
There are many people, this is my question, but there are many people walking around with the vocabulary label of psychic. Is it conceivable that these people are really using the spiritual energy that you just described, or is it most likely that they're not?
Well, see, the term, when somebody says I'm psychic, maybe they're using astral vision. Maybe they're using a form of telepathy, or just the psyche power. It's possible, yes, that they could be having tapped to the spiritual energy. Say possible, but if you are tapped, you know it. I mean, there's very little, if any, question that yes, you're there. But in the psychic world, there's all sorts of questions and all sorts of answers, and not necessarily do you get the same answers to the same questions, depending upon what level the psyche is functioning upon.
What? Jeez. Blah, blah, and they're doing that again. What would elevate a person who is a psychic individual, who is operating within the psychic areas, the psychic realms, to move into pure spirit?
What motivate them to do that?
No, not motivate. What would allow them? What technique, or what's the difference?
They'd have to get a hold of somebody who knows how to bridge the psychic to get into the spirit.
Okay. What is the value of a 30 to 40 day fast? What would the value of a 30 to 40 day fast be?
Well, it cleans the body out.
Cleans the body out.
Can help clean out the emotions in the mind, but primarily is to attempt to purify the body. But those should be done under the expertise of someone who has that expertise, and not somebody who proclaims to have it. I would say, what does your record state? How many hundreds or thousands of fasts have you supervised? Where do you supervise them? Who have you done this with? I'd like to speak to somebody to see what the results are.
People fast to get into higher, or with the intention of getting into higher consciousness. Will a fast do that?
Fallacy.
Fallacy.
Yeah.
How,
It makes them more receptive to higher consciousness, but not necessarily does it get them into higher consciousness.
so it could be a technique if someone wanted to do that, to move into a receptivity to reach into higher consciousness.
Absolutely.
What about the use of drugs for reaching into higher consciousness? People say, I use the drug to get up there, and then I see what's possible, and then later my attempt is to get into that consciousness.
Well, I don't know very many that said that.
Okay, all right, then let me go back to my original question. What is the value of drugs for reaching into higher consciousness?
None.
What is the validity of the higher consciousness reached through the use of drugs?
None.
Is higher consciousness reached through the use of drugs?
No.
Okay.
In 20 seconds or less.
That was great. No, that's
If,
good.
I have heard many people say, if you're using drugs brought you to me, these would be the gurus, they say, then the drugs were a good thing for you. But that's precluding that they wouldn't have come to him anyway. And I feel that they would have because they were ready to do this. And often then, the guru has to go back and clear up a lot of things that were damaged by the use of drug in the inner consciousness, not necessarily in the physical body, but the other levels of consciousness and the energy patterns that are inherent to each one of these levels. And many times this can be time consuming.
Can you comment on the damage that you've observed through spiritual sight?
Yes, we've seen auras ripped and pierced. We've seen the double of the physical body damaged. We've seen spaces between the nerve system where the acetylcholine gaps between the nerves wiped out so that the nerve timing response is too slow. It gives a person a spacey look, a spacey answer.
Are you speaking now of any drugs, most drugs? Let me go back. Marijuana.
The biggest deceiver.
In what sense?
Well, when you take the other type of psychedelics, you're pretty well aware they're powerful and they're going to make an action right away. And so you're leery and you're watching. So you can, in a sense, like get out of it. But with the process we call marijuana, it's like it doesn't hurt anybody. It's a good feeling. It's an easy up. But to me, that's the deceiver, because then you stop watching. You let your level of awareness drop. And in that dropping, your defenses, your own protection levels are down, and God only knows what can take place there. Now you might say, what about the person who smokes marijuana is watching? And well, you know, there's all types of cop-outs on that.
What about something on the more natural level, like the mushrooms or the mescaline, peyote, that type of thing?
Those all have a level of consciousness inherent within them. And if you're going to do this, you'd better be under a master form in that level, because peyote, the peyote consciousness, is a wicked son of a gun. It'll grab a hold of you, and you'll think you've gone 7 ways from you know where. It's just, if people don't know, they should just stay right out of it. Maybe in 100 years, we will know all the scientific things involved in it, and there may be clinics set up where people can have that guarded exposure to it, where they can come out as a result feeling better and better able to give to society and to their own spiritual well-being. But these things have very little to do with spirit. Spirit must be measured with spirit, and the physical with the physical, and the psychic with the psychic, and mushrooms with mushrooms.
That doesn't leave much room for more discussion, does it?
No, it doesn't, not on that.
Oh, okay. What must one do? Well, I'm getting signals to it. I give you the phone numbers again. 963-1402 in Broward, 620-5701 in Dade. These are the numbers into the studio if you have a question for John Roger. We will give you later other numbers for ticket information for the Spiritual ESP Psychic Yoga Festival coming up in the end of October, and I will mention right now, if you cannot get through to those numbers, feel free to call me at my home in Coconut Grove. It's listed under Laren, Brght. What must one do to experience magnetic light?
I've already answered that.
That's really true. How did you obtain your awareness? Was it through searching or a spontaneous, instantaneous situation? Did you perform austerities and things like that?
No, austerities are austerities. This consciousness was a spontaneous process, but after the spontaneous process, it took quite a few years to learn to hold that in the physical body. It's a lot of energy, a lot of power. It's very easy to hold it outside of the body, but it's very difficult to hold it in.
What do you mean hold it outside of the
I
body?
just move outside the body and hold it out here. But to hold it in your body, it takes a great deal of training.
Is the body equipped to hold that energy? Or does it
Yes,
have to work
it
up
can
to
be equipped to hold it. You have to condition yourself, keep raising the body frequency, and depending upon wherein you're going to keep it, and what part of the body as a reference point.
Okay. I want to mention about this ESP Yoga and Awareness Festival. I'm going to give you a brief taste of some of the workshops that will be available throughout Saturday and Sunday. Pyramid Energy, John Tobin. Dream Interpretation, A Path to Self-Realization. Auric Reading and Healing. Touch for Health, a technique for natural well-being. Opportunities to meet professional psychics, and there will also be a few people doing different types of readings. All these workshops, by the way, are at no extra cost. Once you pay the door cost, and if you buy your tickets early, $12 for 2 days, there is no cost whatsoever for any of these workshops. You're in. Aura Reading and Subtle Sight, a psychic holiday, demonstrations of mediumship, esoteric astrology, million-year-old food, what can that be? Tarot readings, cosmic music and color. Test your ESP factor, and that will be through the Center for Human Development with Lilia Logette, and she's a very interesting lady of a varied background from England and Canada, and with a very charming accent, and I'm sure you'll love her. Hypnosis, from superstition to science. I could go on, but I won't, because we're coming up to a break. So when you come back, I'll probably still be naming off many, many more of these workshops that you can get into. Do stick around. We'll be right back. Let's see what kind of questions we got.
What do we do them all?
Pardon?
We do them all?
We've done most of those down there. She was dumping a bunch of questions up there. Now they're gone. All right.
What was this one here?
Which one?
What is the difference between the Indian,
The Indian
and
mission.
who is it?
The caller is dreaming. He is dreaming. He is wearing a mask. Wait, don't put them on top of other ones, because then I don't know which ones are the new ones. I'll move those over there. You want to do this one?
The last part.
Just the last part? Okay. Should I ask you what the sound current is first? I suppose it'd probably be a good idea.
Yeah. Then we don't have to refer the question. I'll just answer that in the.
Oh, during the course of...
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't want to give those people a hard time.
The caller is dreaming he's wearing a mask, and he feels he has some spiritual significance. This has some spiritual significance to it. Oops. Yep, let me do it.
It's an entity possession.
And Julie Watson Psychic Center, and you will have the I Ching, the oldest surviving guide for tomorrow. Healing herbs, tarot reading, radiesthesia. We're back. John Roger.
That's a tremendous list of events.
I think there are there's a choice of over 60 varied workshops to attend over the 2 days. You'll never make them all.
How many could a person make in one day? Have you checked that to see?
The person can make 3 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, 3 on Sunday. David says 3 on Sunday. Plus a panel discussion on Sunday. Swami Satchidananda in the morning on Sunday. Sri John Roger at night on Sunday. On Saturday, it starts out with Tony Fisichella, esoteric scientist, and closes on Saturday evening with Rabbi Joseph Gelberman, who is a scholar on the Kabbalah, the mystical teachings of the...
with all these approaches, as divergent as they are, there's a good chance that there's a commonality can appear where people will start recognizing the spiritual action manifests itself in many ways, instead of just thinking it's got to be this way or that way.
Right.
Which is really nice.
I think the festival was really conceived with the idea of, number one, letting all these different and diverse people from all these different areas, from sciences to ESP to parapsychology to spiritualism to yoga, come together and know that each other exists, and also to give the general public an opportunity to meet these people that maybe they don't know anything about, and just really come together in a really loving consciousness.
A real
It looks
educational
beautiful.
form.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And let me mention also, next week we'll be having some of the psychic scientists and, among other things, on the show. So, you know, you'll get a chance to see some of the people that you will be seeing when you come to the festival. If you call these numbers tonight, the numbers to call in Miami, 264-4118, in Broward County, 920-4623, or you can write to, and get this, gang, 1801 Southwest 82nd Place, 1801 Southwest 82nd Place, Miami 33155, and we'll have that address on there for you too. You can call these numbers right now, or after the show for a while, or tomorrow, or whenever it's convenient. But do call these numbers, get your tickets now, because the seats, it's limited seating, and you might as well get your tickets now. They will stop selling tickets after these seats are sold out. There's not that many, so we really urge you to do it. John Roger will be one of my guests, John Roger from California. What is the method used in raising the frequency of the body? Are drugs doctors use harmful for evolving spirituality?
Well, let's answer the second part about the drugs that doctors use. That's a medical type of question, and I'm not a medical doctor, so I'm going to not use that at all. How do we raise the frequencies of the body? Chanting mantras, sacred tones, keeping the mind clear in a clear thought process, feel the loving consciousness inside. These are the prime ones. Then there are associations with groups of people who are lifting towards enlightenment. Satsang, the process of gathering for truth.
Coming together.
Yeah. Reading of those books that are dealing with the spiritual evolvement, the waking to spirit. There are quite a few techniques involved in these.
They're available from a lot of places, I would suspect.
Sure. I mean, probably any good bookstore is going to carry a tremendous volume of them.
How does spiritual healing work, and will it take place at the festival?
Yes, there will be quite a few people that will receive healings at the festival, if only because there is a massing focus of energy of love present. And the people who come into those opening to the love will find that will do the healing. And this is how spiritual healing works, is that it is a loving process that takes place. Not necessarily an affection, but a joyfulness that comes through the consciousness.
All right, that really brings up a question in my mind. People say, what is the opposite of love? Obviously not hated. People say it's indifference. Yet when we talk of spiritual love, it's a detachment. I'm confused as to how that balances.
Spiritual love, for the most part, means no reacting, but acting. Loving is acting, wherein the other thing is a state of reaction. So when we're talking about detachment, we're not talking about not acting, we're talking about not reacting. So if you say something, instead of reacting, I keep acting with you, which keeps us into prime cause. So we're not an effect, so therefore we don't have to worry about karma. We're always in a state of cause and the cause of releasing immediately.
Right. I was going to ask you also, how does one maintain a karmic free, how does one keep from accruing more karma throughout daily activity? Watching. How does one most quickly balance karma that has been accrued from the past?
Understanding is the primary way of what that is, and to also, if possible, make the recompense to that, to seek out the person so that you alleviate the consciousness of guilt.
You're talking about karma in this life?
In this lifetime.
Diana, we want to go to them about 3 minutes before the end of the show, and if you'll give me a signal, 4 minutes before the end of the show. If you will tell me when that happens, we'll switch to Michael and Edgar, and we'll get treated to a bunch of more music. But back to a question here.
These songs that Reverend Michael Son and Edgar Vatia sing
Thank you. Yeah.
are songs that are coming out of a spiritual consciousness. And when people hear this, they're very much moved, not necessarily because of the word level, but that carries a message of teachings of the movement, but also because this essence comes forward through them.
Speaking of this beautiful music, there will be entertainment as well at the festival.
That's great.
And we're looking at it to be a total lifting experience, lifting on all levels. It's going to be dynamite.
Music is a good cohesive energy. It bridges the one-way approach.
Great, because we're going to bridge right over to Edgar and Michael for another song. she'll start coming in.
Says you got a good picture of South Miami.
I love this song. I love this song.
From the start, you know that he's within you, little heart. You know that he's with you. Oh, little heart, as you enter into this life, remember, this is not your home. There's a greater place inside you where the traveler is there to guide you. Oh, and go awaken, little heart, to the one who you've been searching for.
His name was Jellin Marlowe. He came to the thing at Unity Center that we did when you were there. And he sat in the front row and nodded through the whole
Julian Marlowe?
Jellin Marlowe was the name he used at that time, but his name is Marlowe Gray.
And soon you'll find that the world passes so quickly.
You want to handle that?
I don't know who that is.
Neither do I.
There's so much to
Well, then I guess you needn't concern yourself with it.
It may
Well, he
not
wants to contact me, and I'm busy. So
may not always
I'm going to be busy on how you can contact me. You can find out what he wants.
You want me to give him a call and just find out what the trip is?
Maybe just send him material. Maybe send him some.
Yeah, I have the whole thing.
Just send him a setup information.
Just send it to him. Don't call him, but
Either way.
do we have time to come back to me? That song's got a way to go. Yeah, come back to me. Come back to me. If there's time.
You're doing all those things that took so long to learn, and it fills my heart with joy. Watching you grow.
Tell them to put festival info and the phone numbers after.
Soon you will be awake and loving.
They look so good.
By the one who you've been searching for from the start. You know that he's within you, loving heart. You know that he's with you, awake and loving heart, to the one who you've been searching for from the start. You know that he's within you, loving heart. You know that he's with you.
How much time we got? And we're back from the bridge.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
That, I don't know, that just does something to me.
That should raise the consciousness of the community, even if the festival doesn't, and I'm sure it will.
Well, he just answered a question that I got from the phone that he hasn't seen yet. Will the festival raise the consciousness of the community? And he just said, we will remind you that the phone numbers for the festival, ticket information, and to purchase tickets, 264-4118 in Dade, and Broward, 920-4623, or write to the address on your screen. That's 1801 Southwest 82nd Place, Miami 33155. John Roger, thank you very much. Edgar Michael, thank you very much. Thank you very much. See us next week. Goodbye. Jeez. My neck ache's gone. Thanks.
Is that it?
That's it. Yeah, those thanks so much, John Roger. I know.
Well, that was my pleasure.
That was just beautiful. That was really beautiful.
You guys sung for 3 minutes and 26 seconds. 27 seconds.
You were going at 78 that time.
That's your issue. It's hard to keep cool.
I asked him, he said that he
Tell him
probably
those
wouldn't.
lights just,
You can ask him right now, but I told him that you
John,
would.
you think you can come over for
Oh, no,
everybody
no,
else?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm-
Everybody else
I'm-
is
I'm
invited.
already
You got
blind.
I wasn't told to do that. I just wanted to
see anyway.
just wanted to do two. It's confusing.
Do you want to bring the everybody over? Yeah, have little snacks.
Well, why don't we give them an option?
Give him a
Okay,
choice,
go
yeah.
ahead.
All right.
Actually, it's just as well. It's just as well, Laren, to give it
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I asked Maury this afternoon to give two numbers. People get confused, man, and it just doesn't fit.
Also, there's 3 people anymore, so it's just one sentence.
Are you gonna snitch those? Because if you are, I need them back. When you're done with them, you can take them though. There's what? Right.
How do you feel this festival will accomplish? It's the other one we didn't answer,
Oh.
but we did anyway.
Yeah, right. I'll hear it from Maury when he sees it.
Okay.